who your opening day starter is at quarterback, will you also set the pecking order following, meaning quarterback 2, 3, and 4, or will there be a competition right through Cincinnati week?
Yeah, well, I'll talk to we'll have the team in tomorrow, so I'll be able to talk through a bunch of different things with our players. But in terms of, where people are, first string, second string, those type of things, not really thinking about that.
Kevin Stefanski is once again in the hot seat, and this time the criticism is louder than ever. After choosing to start Dillon Gabriel in the last game, fans and analysts alike are questioning his decision-making. But what's even more surprising is Stefanski's sudden hesitation when it comes to addressing the Shedeur Sanders debate. Remember, this is the same coach who openly laid out the quarterback pecking order just weeks ago, yet now he's refusing to clarify what that order actually is. So, what changed? Is Stefanski protecting his quarterback room, or is he simply avoiding a storm he knows is coming? Let's break it all down.
This year will be that joint practice in week 1. And then this year, just feel like that's what this team needs to get ready. Try to every single year make decisions based on what the guys need. So that's what we'll do.
In his latest press conference, Kevin Stefanski looked completely out of his depth. The long pauses, the hesitation. It was obvious he didn't want to address the quarterback situation, especially when Shedeur Sanders' name came up. When pressed on why he plans to play the regular QB in the 3rd preseason game this year, after avoiding it last year, Stefanski's response was vague at best. His exact words, "We do what the players need." But here's the problem. Shedeur hasn't been given meaningful game time, nor has he seen first-team reps. So how can Stefanski claim these decisions are about player development when the one guy fans are eager to see isn't even getting the opportunity? The whole thing just doesn't add up. And now, Stefanski's lack of clarity continues. When asked directly about the quarterback situation, his response was, "We'll decide in a couple of days." But let's be real here. How can anyone determine their starting quarterback in just 2 days? That's not strategy. That's stalling. And deep down, fans know what this really means. Even with all the noise, Stefanski could still find a way to push Shedeur Sanders aside. At this point, his words don't carry much trust.
What do you plan to do at quarterback for the dress rehearsal game, and what is the timeline for naming week 1 starter?
Yeah, I want to get through the next couple days, but certainly that's something that we're going to do here sooner than later.
And when it came to Shedeur Sanders, Stefanski didn't hold back. He made it clear that he doesn't believe Shedeur will be back anytime this week. But the way he said it? Almost too comfortable. It didn't sound like concern for his quarterback's recovery. It sounded more like relief that he wouldn't have to deal with the Shedeur debate just yet. That's the vibe fans are picking up on, that maybe Stefanski doesn't actually want Shedeur back in the mix right now because it would force him to make a decision he's clearly not ready for.
Do you have any health update on Kenny and Shedeur? Do you expect them to increase their level of participation in practice this week?
I hope so. We really have to take those day by day, so I don't know where that ends up towards the end of the week, but I'm hopeful.
Just a few days back, after the matchup, Stefanski addressed the media and insisted that Shedeur Sanders wasn't the only quarterback being considered for Cleveland's starting role. He emphasized that his focus was on developing the entire quarterback room. On the surface, that sounded reasonable. But then the depth chart was released, and things took an unexpected turn. Despite Sanders putting on the most impressive quarterback performance of the preseason, Stefanski still listed him at the 4th spot. And here's where it gets even stranger. Both Dillon and Pickett were dealing with injuries at the time, yet Sanders was still placed behind them. That move left everyone scratching their heads and fueled even more suspicion about what's really happening behind closed doors in Cleveland. And just when it felt like the situation couldn't get any messier, another report dropped, this time suggesting that Stefanski has no plans to use Shedeur Sanders in the 2nd preseason game. That revelation only poured more fuel on the fire. After everything Sanders has shown on the field, you'd expect him to at least get another shot. Instead, the Browns seem to be signaling that he's not part of their immediate plans. Certainly not in the way fans and analysts had hoped. And then, out of nowhere, Shedeur was suddenly reported as injured. The timing couldn't have been more suspicious. Just as the pressure was building from all sides for him to get playing time, the Browns seemed to find a way to downplay the entire conversation. When no other explanations seemed to fit, they labeled it as arm soreness, something they claimed would clear up by the very next day. But instead of easing doubts, that excuse only fueled them. Was it truly an injury? Or was it simply a convenient way to keep Sanders off the field while the calls for him grew louder? For many, the whole situation just didn't add up.
Because all I know is that what I keep hearing is what you're telling me what he can't do. Like my coach just said in college, hey, find something that he can do. See, you keep telling me what Shedeur can't do. Well, your job as a coach is to put players in position and find something that they can do.
And even now, Stefansky continues to lean on the excuse that the team is still assessing the situation. But honestly, his body language says it all. He doesn't seem to want Shedeur Sanders ready to go. The irony, though, is that there really isn't anyone else who can step up in his place. Gabriel even took a subtle dig at Shedeur, despite not being anywhere near his level. Yet, Stefansky still chose to put him on the field. Analyst Chris Canty didn't hold back either. He flat out said Gabriel could never be a franchise quarterback. Why? Because being the face of a team isn't just about what you do between the lines, it's also about how you carry yourself off the field. And Gabriel's comments showed he's not even close to being that guy.
To set in terms of his post-game interview, with all of the mistakes that we saw, with the turnovers in the first half, there was clearly an opportunity for him to acknowledge his need for improvement and how he's got to stack days. He didn't do that. And to get the compare and contrast, the juxtaposition from how he handled his post-game press conference after his first preseason action versus Shedeur is absolutely jarring.
Gabriel stepped into the game with an overly cautious approach, clearly trying to play it safe against the first-team defense. With top-tier protection in front of him, that should have been his chance to create something meaningful. But even with that advantage, he failed to make any real impact. His style was too conservative, focused more on avoiding mistakes than making plays. And once those first-team defenders rotated out, the cracks started to show. Without that elite protection, Gabriel unraveled, fumbling the ball and turning it over. The moment real pressure hit, his composure disappeared. That performance made one thing clear: Gabriel is not the answer for this team. The biggest hindrance in all of this has been Kevin Stefansky himself. His reluctance to make a clear decision and his constant hesitation when discussing the quarterback situation have only fueled the controversy further. Instead of providing stability and direction, Stefansky has created confusion, dodging questions, giving vague answers, and hiding behind phrases like "we're assessing" or "we'll decide in a couple of days." That lack of clarity has become the story, overshadowing what's actually happening on the field. And on the field, the truth is just as telling. Gabriel's showing was the perfect example of why the Browns are stuck in this mess. With the protection of the first-team line, he had every opportunity to prove himself, but he played timidly, more concerned about avoiding mistakes than making plays. Once that protection disappeared, so did his confidence. The fumbles, the turnovers, the lack of composure under pressure, it was a clear demonstration that he's not built to be the answer. As Chris Canty pointed out, being a franchise quarterback goes beyond what happens between the whistles. It's about presence, poise, and leadership. But now the real question is, what do you think? Is Kevin Stefansky genuinely trying to do what's best for the team? Or is he simply avoiding the Shedeur Sanders debate because he knows it could cost him? Do you believe Gabriel has shown enough to deserve a shot? Or has he already proven he's not the answer? And most importantly, do you think Shedeur is being unfairly pushed aside despite being the most promising option on the roster? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take on this quarterback controversy.